Hello, everybody. It's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, here for another Think Tank Thursday. How are you all doing today, my friends? I hope you're having a wonderful day today. It is bloody well cold out here in East Tennessee today. My hands are frozen, and for those of you who know me pretty well, you know I don't get cold very easy. So for me to say that my hands are cold and I'm a little chilly is kind of a big deal. Now, of course, that cold means nothing to you gals and guys that are up in the northern areas and used to cold weather. It's I don't even know what the temperature is actually. Let's see. You know what? My phone says that it's 39 degrees. So that means that it's almost freezing. And yes, Sherry, I am actually cold. I came out to the studio and I turned the heat on the heater, and it is set at 72, and so it's starting to warm up a little bit, but oh my goodness. All right, let's see here. Hi, Miss Dawn. How are you, darling? Sherry is here. Wonderful. I see more folks are coming in. Thank you so much. Yeah, so oh my goodness. My nose is no. No. Sherry just said the S word, and nope, we're not listening to it. We're not listening to it. Estrada, hello, friend. How are you? Long time no see, darling. I hope you're doing well today. We were just discussing how it's getting cold here in East Tennessee. And oh my goodness. So, yeah, everybody say hello. Let me know where you're coming in from. If you are new here, I would love to say hello to you. And hi, Miss Elisa. How are you, darling? So, Think Tank Thursday is a little bit different than your regular Facebook Live. This is a fully interactive get together where we all design a project using this or that sort of technique, and you get to be involved and help create it, and it's absolutely wonderful. So, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around, and I'm actually am going to share with you something that is brand new, and I just got it and I cannot stand it. I have to play with it now, and I want to share it with you guys. So I hope that you guys will enjoy it too, but we shall see, okay? All right, let's go ahead and turn the camera around. Oh, Estrada says, kept missing the streams. Glad you made it. I am so glad that you made it too, darling. All right, here we go, friends. Let me just bring up my other camera here, and I'm going to do a little, bye-bye, a little adjusting. All right, here we go. There we are. Okay, so I've got a little bit of wonkiness going on today, but that's all right. Let's see if we can get some focus going on. There we go. All right. Perfect. Okay. Debbie says the S word is happening up there. Oh girl, you just keep it. I am not about it. I am not about it. With the time changes makes it 10:30 a.m. for you, Miss Elisa. Oh my goodness. Well, at least it's not 6 a.m. Do you guys celebrate, or I don't want to say celebrate, do you guys recognize daylight savings time, Elisa? I know I know a lot of places don't. And actually, it's really weird because not every place here in the US recognize the daylight savings time change as well, which is super strange and really confusing because there are so few of them that don't, but they are there. So when we're talking about time change and everything else, a few of these places have a hard time deciding what time it actually is because, yeah, like Estrada says, not for me here in Arizona. So I'm not exactly sure all the places that don't, but Arizona, I believe there are some places in Indiana. I don't know if all of Indiana is that way, but yeah, it's super strange. Super strange. So, anyway, okay. This is a brand new kit. And before you run away and, oh no, I don't want to do a kit, wait until you see this. This kit is absolutely amazing. And also, on that note, can I just say that our kits are really stepping up? I mean, these aren't just beginner only things. The avid crafter can really enjoy a Stampin' Up! Kit and really get some good fun out of it. So I'm going to show that to you guys this evening because I think that sometimes, especially for avid crafters, we tend to think that a kit is just really not engaging enough, or we just want something a bit more detailed. And so I'm going to show you guys and am super excited about this kit because it's unlike anything else we've ever had before. So it's called Nature's Paintings Kit. And already you can tell as soon as I open the box, it's totally different, right? Now, I will offer the caveat that I have not had the chance to play with the kit yet. It literally just got here. And so as you can see, everything is still packaged up. Okay. Elisa is asking, do all of your kits come plastic wrapped? Elisa, no. The answer is no. If the kit has things that are in it, like an ink pad or stamps that are separate or whatever, then yes, the outside is plastic wrapped. But if it can all be put in, I'm trying to get it out here. If it's all able to be put in this little deal like this, then no, it's not got an extra plastic wrap on it. So it's only if there are extra bits in there. Okay, this is a watercolor kit, and I am so excited. So we have watercolor pencils, and I wanted to know if these pencils were the same as our watercolor pencil sets. Because we have this one, and it has red Calypso Coral, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, Blue, Fresh Freesia, Melon Mambo, Pumpkin Pie, Pecan Pie, yes, Pumpkin Pie as well, Early Espresso, Basic Gray, Basic Black, and Basic White. So the answer to this is that there are a few that overlap, but not all of them. Let's see. Flirty Flamingo is not in this box. Berry Burst is also not. Coastal Cabana is not, and Garden Green is not. So you have a few different pencils here than you do in the watercolor pencil kit. So that's really nice too, because you can know that you get extra pencils with the kit versus the set. So if you already have this, it's okay. You're going to get some extra ones that you don't have. Elisa says theirs don't have plastic wrapping anymore. Oh, wow. So do you have this wrapping, Elisa? Do you have the wrapping to hold this part on? Or is it all just open? That's interesting. I really would have had no idea that our packaging and things like that would be different from one region to the other. Elisa is actually visiting us from down in the South Pacific region. So it's morning time for her. And yeah, so it's really interesting to hear that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the rest of the kit here. And this little book is, oh gosh, that is super, super thick chipboard. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look how thick that is. That's like easily 1/8 of an inch. Let me see. Indeed, 1/8 of an inch. That's crazy. Okay, and then the little cards here are, they're a watercolor paper, and let's see. Sherry says she thought packaging was the same as well. Yeah. You know, I think that you're probably right, Elisa. I don't think that you're not being observant. I think I had seen something about that in over in the UK as well, that there's not as much plastic. You know, that's interesting. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to pull that off so I can get to this. And all right. Now, as is true with all of our kits, you have a beautifully detailed instruction sheet that tells you how to put the kit together. In this particular case, there isn't actually a project you're putting together, but rather some really cute pages that you can color, and then you can use these on other projects. So it looks like there are 2 of each design. I'll just kind of flip through here so that you can see. Oh, you know, we love our magnolias. We love our magnolias here in the South, don't we? Those are beautiful too. Okay, really nice. Look at blueberries, and I call those Canterbury bells. Is that what you guys call those? The little white bell flowers? Seems like my granny said that's what they were called. And then we've got some poppies. Really pretty greenery and some of those pom-pom type flowers. Monstera. Beautiful pictures here. These are going to be a lot of fun. Okay. I don't know what that one's called. Any of my floral folks in here know what that's called? Maybe some primrose, or maybe that's not it. I'm not sure. I'm really not that floral savvy. I do know those are sunflowers, though. Okay, and again, like I said, there are 2 of each pattern, so that's pretty cool. We've got some acorns and oak and maple leaves here. Very nice. Okay, little buds, and then some poinsettias. And then we have a couple of blank sheets to do whatever we want. So that's pretty neat. Okay. Now, this being said, your kit includes this pack of beautiful watercolor paper images. No, there was a sunflower in there, Sherry, but not the thing that I was asking about. And then you get a water painter pen. So these are really nice. I love the aqua painters. and you get a set of watercolor pencils. So just like with all of the other kits, you do have everything that you need to create the projects. But in this case, your projects are watercolor pages. Okay. Now, I will tell you all right now that I am marginally okay with watercolor pencils. I have got a whole lot to learn about them. And, I don't know all the things by a long shot. I do know that they're a lot of fun to play with. And whether you have really detailed experience or not, it doesn't matter with watercolor pencils. I do know that they are really forgiving and they're just so much fun to use. So there is that. Okay. Now, I will also say, because my friend Elisa is in here, that Miss Elisa actually is incredible with watercolor and blending colors and things like that. So she does incredible stuff. But for us this evening, we're going to do some very generalized and simple coloring. This is something that any and everyone can do, and it doesn't require a whole lot of training, experience, or whatever. We're going to just play, all right? Now, true with all kits, the instructions show us a little bit of what to do. These are all what I would really consider a polite suggestion in the fact of it showing colors and things like that, okay? You can, of course, make your projects whatever colors that you want. I mean, just absolutely incredible. But you can see that Stampin' Up! Has given us some really pretty sample ideas and colors that they've used, all right? And then these little spots here are just showing you ways to kind of blend the color, all right? We have the poinsettias here, which is absolutely fabulous. And I think that's the one that we're going to do because, Christmas time, right? I love that one though, and I think I'm going to have a play at that later on. This right here is the flower that I was talking about, Sherry. I know this one is like a peony or a cabbage rose, maybe. I think it's peony, but this one right here is what I was wondering about. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. Okay, we're going to come back here to the poinsettias, and I'm going to grab that piece of paper out of here. Let's just pull that out, okay? And this paper is really, it's really good quality of watercolor paper. I noticed that it's a bit smoother. Let me grab our regular Fluid 100 watercolor paper so that I can show you the comparison here. A Waratah? Did I pronounce that right? Is that a native plant down there, Elisa? I think that there are plants from the various regions of the world in here. So I don't know, but Australian flower, and they are red. Okay, yep, gotcha. All right. Well, that is good to know. All right, and that was, hold on here, let me grab that paper again, just so we can all know what it is. Okay, here it is, right here. And this is Waratah. And Elisa says, yes, it's pronounced correctly. Okay, very good. And that they are a red Australian flower. Elisa, how bright are the greenery on these things? Do they have any kind of like red coloring in the leaves or anything as well? Or is it just the flowers? Okay, while Miss Elisa is pondering what I've asked her, I'm going to show you guys the difference between our Fluid 100 watercolor paper and the watercolor paper in the kit. Okay. First of all, the Fluid watercolor paper is actually just a bit thicker. I don't know how well of this I'm going to be able to show, but let's see. There we go, maybe. So you can see there that the Fluid watercolor paper is a little bit thicker than the regular the kit paper. Miss Elisa, would you mind maybe to post a link to a picture on Google? That would be wonderful. And then folks could click the link and check it out themselves. That would be wonderful if you wouldn't mind to do that. So the Fluid 100 paper is a little bit thicker. And also, the watercolor paper in the kit is a smoother paper. With our Fluid 100 paper, it actually has a little bit to it. And this paper does as well. You can feel it, but you don't really see it. So it's just a really fine texture rather than the kind of pitted texture of this one. So it'll be interesting to see how the water and the coloring look different between the two papers, right? Okay. And I really want to test that out a bit too. So I think maybe let me grab one of the blank sheets from back here and let's start out with that, right? Okay, we have the Fluid 100 paper, and then we have the kit watercolor paper. And let me see if I can just bring us down a bit and maybe get rid of some of that shadow. I don't know that I'm going to be able, but there we go. Okay, at least it's close enough now that maybe you guys can see it better. All right, now, I actually had just opened the kit, as you saw in the video. So let me just see if I can add some water to this. I've got a bottle of water here, actually, that I haven't opened yet. So let me just see if I can squeeze some water in there. All right. Hang tight, friends. I'm filling the water and draining it into my little bucket here. Okay. I thought I had one of my other aqua painters up here, but I don't. It actually, the one that I have up here has alcohol in it. So, and that is a discussion for another day as far as details wise, but the difference between using water and alcohol in your painters and with your coloring is that alcohol evaporates a whole lot faster than water does. And because of that, you get a much more concentrated color. With the water painters and with water in it, you are able to move the color around a little bit better, actually quite a bit better than you can with alcohol. If you haven't done any coloring with either water painter or alcohol ink or alcohol in the painters, I recommend you playing with it and trying it out. You can either get the kit, of course, and you've got some simple instruction and you have all of the supplies that you already need, or you can just get a package of the Fluid 100 paper and the watercolor pencils, and maybe you already have water painters or you have other wet brushes you can use. Okay, let's go back to comparing the difference between our Fluid 100 paper and our kit watercolor paper. Okay, so one thing that I want to do, actually, I'm going to save that paper and I'm just going to use this because I just want to make a sample with the red. So I'll just show you this one here. I'm going to give it a little bit of color, and then I'm going to give this one a little bit of color. And so I don't know if you can see a whole lot of difference there, but both of them were pretty simple to color on. Of course, the texture makes a difference. You can feel the texture when you're coloring. Let's see what kind of a difference we make when we put water to it, shall we? When you are first using your water pen, you want to make sure that you prime it just a little bit, okay? So you'll see the push right here. And I'm just going to kind of squeeze and release because I don't want a big bit of water here. But I just do that enough to get some water coming out of the tip of the brush, okay? And now I can lightly add the water to the color. And you can see right there how it does just the very basics of adding water to our watercolor paper and those pencils. And the color from the pencils just flows really nicely. All right, there is the kit. Now let me come back and do, this is our fluid watercolor paper. Okay. The thicker the paper, the more it's able to take water. So there's that. But, both of these are really nice. I could tell a bit of difference with the color in the first place when I first added a little bit of water to it. The smoother one definitely spreads quicker, but the thicker one here has more of that softer watercolor look to it. Now, I can add a bit more water and give it even more of a swirl here. And I can do the same with this one. And you see how the edges of the paper here just kind of really show the watercolor effect. Now this, we do see a bit of a difference. So I don't know, right there at the top of each of those, you can see with the kit paper, because it's smoother, the edges are soft and rounded, whereas the edges here have that watercolory effect where it kind of feathers out a little. This paper does it a bit more than this one does. I do not have technical words for that. I apologize, but I'm just showing you what I know from the difference here. Okay, and we're learning this together as well because, like I said, the kit is brand new, and I'm just now getting my hands on it. So, okay, now that we can see kind of the difference in the materials, I'm going to set the fluid paper off to the side, and I'm going to show you a little bit here with the image itself and the pencils, okay? Okay, now one thing is, because the images are already pre-printed, you don't have to worry about any of that ink smearing or anything else. If you were going to be stamping images, if you were going to be stamping the images to watercolor, You could certainly use Memento and let it dry really well, or you could use StazOn ink, which I recommend. StazOn is a bit sturdier of an ink. And then just make sure you let your stamped images dry completely before you try to color with them, okay? And even still, you'll want to be careful around the lined areas, just because you don't want to re-engage that ink and start getting a kind of muddy look, right? Okay, we have our red and garden green, and I think I'll pull in maybe a little bit of Daffodil Delight. Okay, and I'm going to start out with the red, and you dictate the depth of color by how much pressure you put on the pencil and how richly you color it in. Okay, if I want to make some darker areas, for example, near the base of the petals, I'm going to give it a little bit of a heavier hand. And if I want it to be a lighter color, then I can go either from the edges of the pencil. You can see that's already lighter than the stem. Okay, you see that? So where I've got it darker here is definitely going to have more color to it. And let's just go ahead and do some coloring here. I'm going to spend a little extra time around the veins of the petals. And again, just a quick reminder that I am not a coloring expert. I'm just a person who likes to color. Okay, so I am definitely not the professional, but what I'm doing, you can certainly do as well. Okay, so you don't have to be a professional to be able to make some really pretty things with our watercolor pencils. And you know what? I'm telling you, coloring with the watercolors, the pencils, and also with the Stampin' Blends, actually, it's just so much fun. You know, it's just so much fun. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. And all I'm going to do is go over the areas, and I'm going to try not to spill over into the other leaves here. Okay, because I want to still be able to color. Okay, I'm just going to do this. Now, the more water you add to this, the smoother your watercoloring will be, the lighter your color will show, and the more that watercolor look will be, okay? Okay, now this leaf, or petal rather, had quite a bit of color on it. And so you can see that it's got more rich color in there. If I wanted to make a bit of a lighter leaf, I might be inclined to just put a light little line, and then maybe just a little bit here. And you can already see that one's going to be lighter, right? And then let me get my water brush and add a bit more water to it. Okay. I may have given it a little bit more than a bit of water here. All right. Okay. And I did, it blobbed out on me. So let me just grab a tissue here and I'm going to lightly soak up some of this water. There we go. Okay, there we go. You can see the water on there. I squeezed a little too hard and it went bonkers. Okay. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't squeeze hard or you'll get a lot of water. But if you do, it's not the end of the world. You can lightly soak up what you don't want to stay there. Okay, and so there you go. You've got, those white poinsettias with the light pink in there. Oh my goodness, so pretty, right? Okay, let's see. What else can we mess up here? All right, let's try this again. Let's do a little bit more of the dark here in the middle. Okay, down to the stem there. And now I want to add a little darker here, but just kind of coming in like that. So I'm coming along the stem to give it a bit more color there. And then the same here on this side. Okay. And then there we go. Okay. Now I've put some concentrated color right here at the center because I want that to be darker than the rest of the petal. And this area right here because it's got a really nice shadow to it. So let's see if we can make that work. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of the water here and I'm trying not to get too much on my paper. You want a bit of water though, because you want it to be able to kind of slide the color around. Okay, but here we go. And then to this side. Okay. There we go. Now, I hope that you're able to see how I'm moving the color around a bit. Just by wetting the area a little bit, you can move the color just a bit more. Okay. Now, if I don't like the way that this little edge is looking, I can come back in and I'm just going to add a bit more water and you can see there I can slide it around just a little bit more. Okay, there we go. All right, like that. Okay, now let's do some leaves, shall we? And of course, as you guys can see, I'm hopping around quite a bit. I just want to be able to show you guys the different spots and the different colors and things. So with the leaves, we'll go ahead and just like we did with the petals of the poinsettia, we're going to bring in that darker color right down the middle. And then I'm going to come along the edges here where the leaf is tucked behind the petal of the flower. And then come up this way. There we go. All right, now, when you change colors, you want to make sure that you clean your brush well, okay? And the way you want to do that is to take a napkin or a tissue and squeeze out some of the water and brush it out until it comes clear. Now, the brush could become stained, and I don't know if you can tell, it's a little bit pink there on the tip. That's okay. It's all right for it to be stained as long as you're getting a clear run when you clean it on the tissue, okay? So it's all right for it to be stained, but just make sure that it goes clear. Okay, now then, I'm going to bring my brush in. There we go. And then I'm going to come in and kind of dab the water just a little bit right here towards the middle, just to get a little more concentration of the color right there at the center of the leaf. Okay. All right. Now then, I'm going to take some Daffodil Delight and I'm going to come in here to these little berries. And I want them to be a rich golden color. So I added a bit of color to all the little dots, and then kind of a little circular motion here, being really careful not to draw up color from the petals or the leaves. Okay, there we go. All right, and there we have that. Okay. All right, now then, I'm going to go ahead and do just a little bit more coloring here. And I'm also going to show you a couple of little things as well, okay? So, where is it? Right here, Stampin' Up! Is showing you putting multiple colors together. And I want to take a little bit of red and a little bit of Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so we have the two colors there. Make sure that my brush is clear. Okay, and I'm going to start from the lighter color and work my way into the darker color. Okay, now why would we do that? Well, because the darker color is going to be a bit richer than the lighter color, and so it will be a little more dominant than the lighter color is. So if we start with the lighter color and then work our way to the darker color, we will get a nice soft transition and still have two consistent colors. Okay, so what would that look like if we were doing a project like this? If I want to do, let me do this one here. I'm going to do a little bit of red. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in Flirty Flamingo. Okay. And remember, I'm going to go from the lighter part towards the darker part. So I'm going to start working the pink out. Okay. Let me get a little more water here. I'm learning to do that on the napkin rather than on my paper. There we go. Okay. And then working my way out with the red. Okay. Now you can work on this until you love it. Let it dry for a second and see how you like it. It will look a little bit different when it's dry than it does when it's wet, but you can see there we've got the two tones kind of going together. And then I have a bit more red on this side than I do this side, and I kind of want just a little more red here. So I'm going to come in with my pencil and just ever so lightly, okay? Once this paper is wet and you add pencil over the top of it, you're going to see that the color picks up really well. So don't be heavy-handed with your pencil if you're adding more color in, because it will pick up pretty well and you'll see that you'll get a good amount of color when the paper is already wet. Okay, here we go. And then I have that. Okay. All right, so I've got 3 different colored poinsettias here. And I'm going to go ahead and play with them just a little bit, and then you can tell me what you think, okay? So how many of you have any kind of practice with watercolor, either with watercolor paints or watercolor pencils? Watercolor painting in general, how many of you have had the opportunity to play with watercolors? While you're talking, I'm going to go ahead and just color in a bit of my leaves here. Now, this is a wonderful difference between watercolor pencils and Stampin' Blends markers, for example. Not just because of alcohol versus water, though remember what I said about that. The water gives you a little more freedom and a little more time to push the color around, but and you get a lighter, maybe a softer color with water than you do with blends. But with blends, you get a really nice, rich color to it. Also, with blends, I wouldn't really want to do each of these individually, like all one color of this and then go back and do the other thing. You'd want to do probably like one leaf at a time, right? And you do your dark and then your light and all of that stuff individually. Whereas here, I can go ahead and color all of my leaves with the foundation color first, and then I can go back and do the watercolor with them. Okay. Elisa hasn't done paints and not much with the pencils. That's awesome. I really need to do more. I follow a few people with regard to the blends, but I'd really like to learn more about watercolor and pencils. I think that would be so much fun. And of course, I'm being very two-dimensional here, but I'd really like to be able to learn how to do all of the different adding colors and things like that. So let's see here. Um, and friends, can I just say, don't be afraid to play and try things because it's just paper. It's just paper, and as long as you're having fun with it, that's what really matters. That's what crafting is all about, is having fun. So if you happen to do something, or you're afraid of doing something because you don't want to mess it up, don't be afraid. Just try it, okay? All right, now I'm going to come back in. I'm going to add a bit of water. I'm using the circular motion that you've probably heard to be used with the Stampin' Blends. I notice when I use the circular motion that it softens up the edges a little bit more than when I just kind of slide the color around. Okay, if that makes any sense. Elisa says, no one has died from coloring. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's nothing but fun here. You shouldn't be stressing out over whether you can do something with crafting or not. Just get in there and try it and see. You may surprise yourself. Okay. Plus, I think maybe it's even more fun when you don't really know what you're doing yet and you're just learning. Be bold, friends. Be brave. Try different things. Worst case scenario, it's awful. You hate it. You throw it in the garbage, and no one is ever the wiser. So, you don't have to worry. Okay, let me get. Now, this one's going to be a little more particular because I'm working around those berries. But, there we go. Okay, that's it. All right. And this really is a whole lot of fun. I'll be completely honest with you. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing here, really, but I'm having a good time with it. So it's okay. Yeah. All right. I want to channel my inner Bob Ross and say, what happy little leaves. Oh, so much fun, friends. So much fun. Okay, so what do you do with these little pieces after you get them colored, you might ask? Good question. You can do all kinds of cool things with these. You can make a decorative card front. You could put it in a frame if you like it. You could cut the pieces out and make decorative elements for a scrapbook layout, or a 3D project, or a card. I mean, there are just so many cool things that you can do. I think with this one, I am going to go ahead and fussy cut it out and use it as an element because, I've been playing with the sides already. So, I wouldn't want to be using this piece as it is because, it's got some weird stuff going on. But look at how it is when it's dry, and you can see the color kind of bleeding out there a little bit, and it really just adds to the beauty of watercolor. Elisa says, and you can get lost while coloring. Absolutely. It is just really relaxing and fun. Okay. So, Thanksgiving here in the US is coming up very quickly. Next week, actually. And Hannah Banana, my baby, I can't really call her that, but she is. You moms know this. It doesn't matter how old your babies get, they're still your babies. And she is going to be coming home for Thanksgiving. So, initially, I thought I might cheat and order a pre-cooked meal from one of the local restaurants or grocery, but I went to the website to take a look, and I just couldn't do it. So I got the supplies to do dinner myself. I've done dinner, gosh, since I was a kid. I've been either helping or making Thanksgiving dinner, and it just didn't seem right to cheat. So not when I can do something else, you know. If it were just me and Matt, I think maybe we might do something uber simple. Maybe even a frozen dinner. But if I have the ability to make Thanksgiving dinner for my baby, you know, we may not get too many more of those opportunities. You never know, when they grow and they move away, you don't know how many of those opportunities you get. All right here, you can tell that little spot is one of the leaves rather than one of the petals, because it's got the points right here. Okay. So poinsettia flowers, leaves are smooth, but their regular stems and leaves are pointy. Okay. So right here is also a leaf rather than a petal. So I want to give that a little bit of green color there. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, now what about those berries? You know what? I want to make the berries a bit of a darker color than the petals. Okay, and now if I'm using only what I have in the kit, I don't necessarily want to use Berry Burst, because Berry Burst is actually a purplish color. So you can see here, it's a beautiful color, but it is purple. Okay, there you go. You can see it really well right there. So I don't want to use that for the berries, because the berries aren't going to be purple. They're going to be a deep red. How are we going to make a deep red berry when we only have real red for our color? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the early espresso, and I'm going to put just a little bit of espresso color, kind of making a circle around the berry. Okay. And then I'm going to take my real red, and I'm going to color over the top of that. Okay. Now I don't have to color all of the berry. I'm leaving a little bit of white, because by the time I add the water pen, of course, it's going to be able to cover it. So let's make sure I've got a bit of water, but not too much here. Those berries are pretty small. And I'm just going to kind of work in the color. There we go. All right. And now you can see that the berries are a little bit richer red than the petals are. And I think that's just fantastic. So you can take your colors and blend the colors to make another color, which is really cool. Now, I can't tell you all of the things, all of the things with regard to color. What I can tell you is to play with it and see what you come up with, right? So I have Coastal Cabana and Garden Green here, and I'm looking at these thinking, you know what? I bet these two colors would make kind of that blue spruce look, right? Maybe so. Let's take a look and see. Okay, I'm going to take the Garden Green first. I'm just going to give it a little bit of color here, and I'm going to put the Coastal Cabana right over the top of it. And you can see already that it's a little bit more blue-greenish. Now, I want that to be a bit darker. I wonder if we can do just a touch of the early espresso with that too. But before I try that, I want to take some water and color this just a bit so that I can see what it looks like. Okay, so there is my kind of spruce color with the Garden Green and Coastal Cabana. Now I want to take just a little bit of early espresso and then the Garden Green and Coastal Cabana. And let's see if we get an ugly color or if we get a little bit of a darker green. Okay. All right. I see a bit darker green. Now, this is what I mean by just play with it and see what works and what doesn't, right? Because how cool is that to know that if you put just a little bit of brown in there, that you can make your colors darker, or that by mixing the blue, the Coastal Cabana, and the Garden Green, you can get a semi-shaded spruce color, right? So don't be afraid to play with them. That's the lesson I want you to take from this today. Don't be afraid to play. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep coloring here. And I'm seeing some gaps in the petals. So you may be wondering what you would do if you wanted this whole piece for a card front or something like that. So let's pretend that we didn't play around with color around the edges and we wanted to use the whole thing for a card front or something, right? What would we do with all of this white space? That's a really good question. I think that it would be pretty if we did a little bit of either the Coastal Cabana or a very light wash of Flirty Flamingo. And when I'm talking about a light wash, I'm talking about a very little amount of color from the pencil and a lot more water. Okay, so let me do these little petals right here, and then I will show you what I mean. Okay. Now, if you look at a poinsettia plant, you will notice that the smaller leaves are a bit darker than the wider leaves, right? So you could go back in and add a little more color if you decide that your petals aren't dark enough. You want to let your color dry and then come back in and add some more layers to it. You can certainly do that. Okay, I'm gonna do this little bit right here, and I want some more of the darker color over here, so I'm kind of dragging it from the other side. Okay, and then need a little more water because my brush is kind of looking a little peaked. There we go. And you'll be able to see when you're playing with it, you'll be able to see if the color is moving around the way that you like, or if it's starting to kind of make lines. You'll be able to tell that really easily when you're coloring, okay? All right, now, I said I would show you the wash here, okay? But first, let me just add a little bit of color right there because that was kind of looking weird. There we go. All right, that's better. Okay, now I'm going to take the Coastal Cabana and I'm going to bring it over here on this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very light touch, okay? And I mean just very, very light. All right, and I'll show you what I mean here. And this, I don't know if it's going to pick it up really well, but there's just a bit of light right in here. And you would think that that's not enough, but let me add a bit of water. And what I mean by the wash and having a bit of water is that my brush is really, really well saturated at this point. So over at the side, I've got my tissue here, and I've just squeezed to the point of there being a droplet of water that comes out. Okay, and then really just spread that color. And when I see that the color is not moving very well, I'll bring a bit more water out because this really needs to be just a very light wash. Okay. You can add more detail and more color in there after it's dried, but you really want a nice, soft wash. Can you see that? You've got a beautiful pale color there, and you notice that the leaves are starting to pop out a bit. Okay, let's see what it would look like with the pink, shall we? I'm going to come over here on this side, and again, very lightly. Okay, I'm going to add some color in here. Now, you could add a little bit more color in the shady areas. So I have my light color come in here, I'm going to add just a little bit more right in here for shady areas, okay? So I'll show you kind of what that looks like. I'm still not adding a lot. Remember, you can always add more, but it's really difficult to take away when you've got too much. So I've got just a little bit of extra color in here and right here. Okay. Now, let me make sure I've got a droplet on my brush and nice circular motion. Gonna add that wash. And even down in these little areas, I'm doing kind of a circular motion. They're just very, very tiny circles. Okay. And then coming in, feathering it back out a bit. And there we go. Let me come into this side. Okay. Now, you can see that there's a bit more shadowy area there, and it fades out more to that lighter pink. Okay, now you can keep blending out. You can add a little more. You can take a little away by adding a bit more water. There we go. Okay. So now you can see with the nice blue background, with the nice pink background, both options would be absolutely beautiful. In fact, for that matter, I mean, you really could probably do the green as well, and that would be nice. But I think that the blue and the pink really make it pop. So, all right, guys, let me just put the cap on this right quick and turn my camera around. Okay, guys, so there you have it. The beautiful new kit, Nature's Paintings. So much fun. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it. Remember, guys, have fun. Just play with it and learn really cute and new things. I mean, gosh, that's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I will post a picture of my completed piece later on, okay? All right, guys, I hope that you all had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for being here with me this evening. This week's Think Tank Thursday was just a little bit different. There wasn't a whole lot of back and forth and designing. However, and actually next Thursday, right? Since we were talking about Thanksgiving, yes, I will not be here next Thursday for Think Tank Thursday because that is indeed Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and I will have some brand new product for you, and we're going to make some really fun things, okay? I put in a pre-order for celebration items and the spring mini catalog, and y'all, I am so excited. I cannot wait for it to get here so I can play with it, and I will make sure that we are playing with some of it for 2 weeks from today, okay? All right, guys, y'all have a wonderful evening. I will see you another time. For my U.S. folks, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. For everybody else, have a fabulous next 2 weeks.